Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I am really highly anticipating for the second half of the year. It is a relaxing, kind of gloomy afternoon for me, so I decided that I would go ahead and film this video because I have been compiling quite a large list of a lot of anticipated releases for late June through December, and I wanted to share these with you guys just in case you hadn't heard about any of these and in case any of these pique your interest. I have a mix of a few different genres today, so I have quite a bit of romance and quite a bit of spooky middle grade, which is very fitting for me, but I also have some graphic novels, which is also fitting. I have some horror, YA horror. I have some fiction books, like a little bit different and stuff. I don't think I have, but maybe like one or two fantasy on this list. But just in case you're trying to gauge, that is what I'm mostly going to be talking about today, are those few different genres. And I do have 39 books, which I'm like, could I not have had an even number or been at 40? But these are the 39 books. We're not taking any more off this list because I already took some off. And I'm going to try to not read all the synopses to you, but I probably will read, I'll probably read at least half of them, but I'm going to try to just kind of give you a general synopsis of some of the books. That way you can go and explore on your own. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I do have Goodreads pulled up on my computer here. That way I can kind of read synopses when I need to and be able to tell you everything a little bit more accurately if anything's changed from when I made this spreadsheet to now. But we're going to go ahead and start with June. So it is currently June 10th, and my first release is going to be for June 13th. I did include June in my first half of the year anticipated releases, but since then I've learned about some other books that I'm really excited for, so I'm going to go ahead and share those. The first book that comes out on June 13th is a romance novel called Mismatched by Wendy Million. I'm excited for this one because one, the cover is really cute, and it is also a second chance romance, which is one of my favorite romance tropes. Goodreads says, when matchmaking software pairs a woman with her worst ex, she gets a unique second chance to connect with the love of her life. After years of bad dates, Taylor Murphy has decided it's finally time she found her ideal partner. So she pays a hefty fee for a cutting-edge soulmate matching service. But the infallible algorithm must have a serious glitch because it pairs her with the one man on earth she never wants to see, Simon, the man who left her heart in pieces when he broke off their engagement 6 years ago. Taylor would rather cut her losses, but if she's going to move forward with her life, she needs the money back. Then Simon shows up on her doorstep, promising Taylor he can get her a refund by showing the service that the match was wrong. But he wants her to really prove they aren't meant to be, by dating him for the next month. Even though he thinks the service is a fraud, Simon has been desperate for a second chance with Taylor ever since he messed up their shot at happily ever after. They still have an amazing connection, but a lot has happened in the time they were apart. So is this a mismatch or a perfect match? The second book I have that comes out at the end of June comes out on June 20th, and it is a middle grade fantasy graphic novel, and it is the second in the series. It's Cat's Cradle Book 2, The Mole King's Lair by Jo Rue. I did read the first Cat's Cradle novel for Bookathon earlier this year in May, and I really enjoyed it. It's essentially following this girl who is an orphan street urchin. She follows this caravan camp, and she really wants to be a monster tamer, and so this is following her journey from the first book into the second book in the series. I have another book that comes out on June 20th, and this is a young adult romance, which, if we're being honest, these can be hit or miss. There have been some young adult romances that I've really loved, and then there's been some young adult romances that are a little bit too angsty and immature. So it just kind of depends, but this one is definitely on my radar. I love the cover of this one. It looks like a little stamp or like postage stamp or whatever, and it just looks so cute. I love the colors. It's very summery. And it says, this rom-com debut has the fierce girl energy of the movie Booksmart, blended with the awkwardness of Kelly Quinlan's Late to the Party, topped with a thrilling international meet-cute a la Love and Gelato. Olivia Swartz has a plan. It's even color-coded, and the plan is a perfect SAT score, a prestigious college, and a straight path towards her dream of becoming a doctor. The last thing she wants to do, the summer before her senior year of high school no less, is go on a cruise, especially with her parents, younger brothers, and all the unspoken things between them since her older brother's death so many years ago. Then Olivia meets Sebastian. For the first time, Olivia feels like she can have fun, but there's a lot bubbling up under the surface on this cruise, and when past secrets begin to come to light, Olivia must face all the truths that she's ignored for so long about herself, Sebastian, her brother, the past she thought she understood, and the future she's always planned. I really like that there's also a grief element in this one, so that's definitely a bonus. Next, I have another middle grade fantasy graphic novel. This one is called Ember and the Island of Lost Creatures by Jason Pammett, and this one comes out on June 27th. This is the same author that wrote Treasure in the Lake, which is a graphic novel that I really loved and I gave it 4 stars, and it says it's perfect for fans of Hilda and Over the Garden Wall. And the last book that I have for June comes out on the 27th. It is another middle grade graphic novel, and it is called Out There by Sierra Miller. This is a touching, out-of-this-world graphic novel about a daughter, her father, and the aliens that may or may not be speaking to him. So this takes place in Roswell, New Mexico, at the site of the infamous UFO crash there. This is the 75th anniversary of it, when Julia and her father are going to go to this festival, and he thinks that he has been abducted by aliens, but the more she is around him, it seems like his story keeps getting out of whack, and he's a little shaky, and she's starting to possibly lose her faith in him. So this is a heartfelt story of family, loyalty, and the lengths we go to support those we love. Moving into July, I have 4 books that I'm really looking forward to. The first one is a paranormal-esque kind of middle grade book. It's by Matthew Fox, and it is called The Lovely Dark. It comes out on July 6th, and it says, when 12-year-old Eleanor Newton dies in an accident, she finds herself journeying down a mysterious river that takes her to the underworld. She apprehensively embarks on her afterlife at Eventide House, a boarding school of sorts for children who have died. The underworld is always sunny and warm, but also fractured. Strange things have been happening to Ellie since she knows something isn't right, and she doesn't want to be there. She desperately wants to get back to the world of the living to meet her new baby brother, even if it means being a ghost. Can Ellie find a way out of the underworld, and who or what will she be if she does? The next one comes out on July 11th, and I am really excited for this one. This is probably one of my most highly anticipated romance novels. It is called You with a View by Jessica Joyce. The cover of this one is initially what sold me, but the synopsis is so good. It follows 2 high school enemies that must reunite for a road trip inspired by their grandparents' broken engagement in this electric debut romance. This story features an adorable male main character. There's also a female main character who is a photographer who is rediscovering her passion. You have a road trip romance, and you also have the only one sofa or only one bed trope. So you have all of those elements, but I think this is going to be really sweet because it's following the 2 high school enemies, the guy and girl's grandparents, who I think they were like engaged or something happened and they didn't end up taking this road trip. I think it was planned for their honeymoon and they never got to take it. And so now the 2 main characters are going to go with the guy's grandpa on this road trip, and so it sounds like it's going to be enemies to lovers too. I don't know, there's just so much that sounds super cute about this book, so I'm really excited for this one. I'm also really excited for this next book. It comes out on July 18th, and it is a spooky middle grade, and it's called The Bellwoods Game by Celia Crampion. The thing that really drew me in, other than the gorgeous cover, is that it says it's perfect for fans of small spaces and doll bones. And it follows a girl who hopes to fix her outcast status through a game in the haunted woods, only to discover that some legends shouldn't be played. There is a very good chance that you will see this book pop up as a potential buddy read for a readathon that may or may not be taking place in October, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Next, on July 25th, we have Misfit Mansion by Kay DeVault. This is a middle grade graphic novel that sounds so cute. The cover of this, I love it so much. It says it's for fans of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Hilda. First of all, I grew up on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, so that is very nostalgic for me. And if this book is going to remind me of that, I have to give it a shot. It is a spooky and sweet middle grade graphic novel about a monster girl who sneaks out of her foster home and into a human town in search of a forever family, but finds more than she bargained for. Then we have, you guessed it, another middle grade. It is a spooky middle grade, and we're moving into August now. So this one comes out on August 1st, and it is called Field of Screams by Wendy Paris. There is just something about this cover that absolutely spooks me. This girl's in a cornfield, and it says this is a supernatural mystery about 12-year-old Rebecca, who has always wanted to hunt ghosts until she meets one. This says that there is an abandoned farmhouse. The girl finds a note stashed in a comic book belonging to her late father. She is learning about a family legacy and some connections with that. So this just sounds like it's going to be a scary good time. Also on August 1st, we have Saving Chupi by Amparo Oritz. This is a middle grade graphic novel, and I'm very excited to read this one because there's recently been a Netflix movie that came out called Chupa, and it's about a chupacabra. And I don't think this has anything to do with that, but it's just really funny that both of these came out at the same time or around the same time. This one, I can't remember if I said, it comes out on August 1st, and it said it is Pashmina meets Encanto. It's about this family who lives in Puerto Rico, so there is going to be some Puerto Rican culture that is weaved into this story, and basically it is about Violeta Rubio and her friends, and they are on a mission to protect their local chupacabra from international smugglers. And the last book on August 1st, because there were 3 of them, is a magical realism fiction type story. Honestly, this cover really drew me in. It's very simple, but it's just this coffee cup with a butterfly on it, and it's called At the Coffee Shop of Curiosities, and it's by Heather Weber. I'm really, really excited for this one. I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't want to read the synopsis of this one just because I'm trying to get through some of these pretty quick, but I know that this is going to have like 2 character points of view, and both of the characters are dealing with grief, loss, and regret to some extent. And I don't remember if they're going to meet or not, but there's something that I think they may end up becoming friends, and they bond over the experiences that they've had, and there is just a little bit of a touch of magical realism as well. So I'm really excited to see how the story weaves together. On August 8th, we have one of my all-time favorite middle grade fantasy graphic novels, Sourceline, and it is getting book 2. This is a book that was translated from French. It is by Sylvia Doye and Paolo Antista. I'm so excited that the second book has been translated now, and it's going to be coming out on the 8th. So it says, return to the island of Vorn, where mythical creatures roam free and only the brightest students are invited to study them. Follow along as the kids and creatures of Professor Balsar's famous school of cryptozoology unearth the long-hidden secret at the heart of their story. So this is just continuing on in the story. This is a great book for fans of like Harry Potter, or especially Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Also, if you like Greek mythology, there are some elements of that thrown in. The graphic novel art style is absolutely beautiful, and the last book left on a cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to continue on with this story in book 2. Staying in with middle grade, I have The Nightmare House by Sarah Allen, which comes out on the 8th as well. This is a spooky middle grade book, and the cover of this one absolutely terrifies me. There are 2 things that creep me out a whole lot. I mean, there's more than 2, but some of the main things that really creep me out are like spooky eyes and spooky smiles, and there, like in the background, there are these people that have hollow eyes, and it really creeps me out. So I'm excited for this one. It says it's a tale of fear, friendship, and finding courage even in the darkest of moments. In this monster story that's also an allegory for relentless anxiety, see how far a penny's worth of hope will take you when you enter the nightmare house. I saw a person with blank, colorless eyes, and this time I wasn't dreaming. Penny Hope used to be brave, but that was before she met the Fear Maker. Years later, he still haunts her nightmares, a tall, thin man with red eyes in a haunted house in the woods who devours human souls and leaves their eyes hollow and empty. Penny's beloved grandmother tells her to write down these nightmares as poems in her notebook, but then Penny starts seeing blank-eyed people in the waking world too. She's the only one who notices. As more people around her fall prey to the Fear Maker, Penny must gather her courage once and for all to save the souls of those she loves. With the help of a magic garden and a new friend, she ventures to the Fear Maker's house. But the house is a labyrinth of shadows and tricks, and the Fear Maker's fun is just beginning. Can a pocket full of sunflower seeds and a notebook filled with poems be enough to defeat a master of nightmares? And if Penny sets foot in the Fearmaker's house, will she ever leave? I'm so excited for this one. It sounds so good. Also on the 8th, we have an adult horror book called Looking Glass Sound. This is by Katrina Ward. She wrote The Last House on Needless Street, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It is psychological horror. I'm really hoping this one is going to be psychological as well. It seems like it will be. It says, in a lonely cottage overlooking the windswept Maine coast, Wilder Harrow begins the last book he will ever write. It's the story of his childhood summer companions and the killer that stalked the small New England town, of the body they found and the horror of that discovery echoing down the decades, and of Sky, Wilder's one-time best friend, who stole his unfinished memoir and turned it into a lurid, best-selling novel, Looking Glass Sound. But as Wilder writes, the lines between memory and fiction blur. He fears he's losing his grip on reality when he finds notes hidden around the cottage written in Sky's signature green ink. Katrina Ward delivers another mind-bending and cleverly crafted tale about one man's struggle to come to terms with the terrors of his past before it's too late. I have read a couple of other Katrina Ward books after The Last House on Needless Street. I read Sundial, which I did give 4 stars, but upon further reflection, it just was not comparable to Needless Street for me. And I've DNF'd 2 of her other backlist books. So this one sounds like it's going to be a really, really good one, and it may be her redemption for me from the books that I didn't enjoy, because like I said, The Last House on Needless Street is one of my favorites, so I'm really hoping that Looking Glass Sound is good too. Also on August 8th, we have a Christmas book that I'm so excited about. It is a Christmas romance, and it's called One Christmas Morning by Rachel Greenlaw. This is for fans of The Midnight Library and One Day in December, 2 books that I absolutely loved. And it says, who love a dash of Dickensian, that's hard to say, like Charles Dickens magic, I guess. One Christmas Morning is a heartwarming debut novel about a woman's self-discovery, the strength found in friendship, and the promise of second chances, which we all know that I love. Eva has spent the past 3 years burying herself in her work, trying to forget the heartbreaking events of the Christmas that ripped her world apart. And this year, on the eve of her shop launch, the last thing Eva wants is to drive the wild moors of Cornwall to attend her friends Hallie and Kian's Christmas party. But at her husband James's insistence, here they are. Worse still, Hallie announces she's pregnant, bringing Eva's pain to the surface. Overwhelmed by her friend's news and the bittersweet memories of past Christmases, Eva tries to sneak back to London in the middle of the night. But as the clock strikes midnight, she is visited by the ghost of her beloved grandmother. Gran tells Eva that if she doesn't face her ghost head on and stop shutting out her loved ones, she risks losing them all forever. When Eva wakes on Christmas morning, she finds herself living not her own life, but that of her hardworking assistant Diana, whose overflowing inbox isn't the only secret she's been keeping. The next day, she wakes on Christmas morning again, this time in the body of Hallie's sister Natalie. As Eva lives Christmas Day again and again through the perspective of her friends, she's offered a glimpse into the lives of those that she has been pushing away. With each Christmas Day comes a new lesson and an insight into the secrets and struggles her loved ones have been hiding. To move forward, Eva must let go of the past, but is it too late to fix her future? So it seems like this is going to be a lot more about Eva instead of the actual romance in this one, so I'm not really sure why it's tagged as a romance, but it sounds like it's going to be really good. Definitely check the trigger warnings, because just from reading the synopsis, it sounds like that the main character may be struggling with either infertility or infant loss or something like that. That's just based off me reading that and her reaction to her friend being pregnant. So definitely some hard-hitting elements that are going to take place here, but it sounds like it's going to be a really good one. Shifting gears a little bit, on August 15th, we have a young adult horror. Now, I have read Horrid by Katrina Leno, which was a young adult horror, The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, which is a little bit horror, a little bit atmospheric, what am I trying to say? Not horror, but just witchy. And so I know that I've really enjoyed some young adult horror, and I think I could enjoy more. So this one sounds extremely good to me. And the cover is absolute perfection. It's so artistic. It's called Holly Horror by Michelle Davies Corpora. I'm probably not saying that right, but it is based on this, it's like a reimagining of something, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know if it's going to be Holly Hobby, which is a toy that I grew up with, or if it's Horror House or something. If you guys know what this is based off of, because it's based on some kind of classic. Please let me know in the comments. But it says, Playmate, Come and Play With Me. A beloved classic reimagined with a dark twist. After her parents' painful divorce, Evie Archer hopes that moving to Ravenglass, Massachusetts is the fresh start that her family needs. But Evie quickly realizes that her new home, known by locals as the Horror House, carries its own dark past after learning about Holly Hobby, who mysteriously vanished in her bedroom one night. But traces of Holly linger in the Horror House and slowly begin to take over Evie's life. A strange shadow follows her everywhere she goes, and Evie starts to lose sight of what's real and what isn't the more she learns about the lost girl. Can Evie find out what happened the night of Holly's disappearance, or is history doomed to repeat itself in the Horror House? I'm just saying, that sounds really, really spooky and really good. It also looks like it's going to be the first book in a series, which is also pretty intriguing. Then on the 22nd, we have Foxglove by Adeline Grace. I'm so excited for this one because I read Belladonna at the very end of last year by this author. This is a fantasy young adult book, and it is very like gothic fantasy. I do have my review pulled up of this one just so I can tell you more about Belladonna versus Foxglove, because I don't want to spoil the first one. But this is an absolutely gorgeous book. The first and second, like the outside dust jacket as well as underneath, is gorgeous, and the story is also. I gave Belladonna 4 stars. And it was like a 400-page fantasy novel, which I don't read a lot of, so I was really shocked that I liked it so much. But I said that you might like this book if you like The Secret Garden, Bridgerton, Crimson Peak, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, gothic stories, murder mysteries, slightly steamy romance, and morally gray characters. I absolutely love this book. I can't say it. I'm not gonna say it, but the main character and then death, there's just some stuff, and I love it, okay? I just love it, so I'm very excited to continue on in the story with Foxglove. I only have 2 more books for August. The next one is a spooky middle grade, and it's called Extra Normal by Kate Alice Marshall. Again, on the cover of this one, in the background, you can see that there are some characters with some really spooky eyes and smiles, so that is what drew me into this one. I have not read anything by Kate Alice Marshall yet, but I feel like I own like a couple of her books. 13s, which is another spooky middle grade, and then Rules for Vanishing, which I've heard nothing but good things about. So I definitely want to get to those, but I also really want to get to this one. It says it's great for fans of Stranger Things and scary stories to tell in the dark. And the last book that I have for August comes out on the 29th, and it is The Lost Library by Rebecca Stead and Wendy Mass. This is a story that introduces readers to a little free library that is guarded by a cat and a boy who takes on the mystery it keeps. This sounds like a sweet story, and the cover of this one is very beautiful. I love all the books, and I love that it's got a little bit like a fog and maybe some spookiness. So maybe there's a ghost story to be had in this as well. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it, but I'm very excited for that one too. Okay, moving into September, I have It Found Us by Lindsay Curry. This one comes out on September 5th, and in case you couldn't tell by the cover, this is a spooky middle grade book. I do have an advanced reader copy of this one, and I'm very excited for this one. It is a heartwarming horror type book. So if you like cozy horror and like the adult genre, you may like heartwarming horror. That is kind of what Lindsay Curry is known for writing. She's also very known for weaving local legends into her stories. So just a brief little blurb about this. This is a spooky new mystery about a girl detective who must decode a series of ominous clues tied to a century-old tragedy in order to find a missing teenager before it's too late. This is also set in Chicago, which is where most of Lindsay Curry's books are set. She also resides in Chicago, so I love that she is very familiar with like the local legends and lore in her area. So I'm excited to pick this one up, hopefully before September 5th, but make sure to pre-order it if you haven't already, because her spooky middle grade are top tier. Another spooky middle grade book that comes out on the 5th is Finch House by Sierra Birch. I'm really excited for this one because it says it's Encanto meets Coraline. Coraline, like all you have to say is Coraline and I'm sold. I don't even care what the rest of the book's about, I'm sold. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it says it deals with family ties, fear of change, and generational trauma. Again, all of these words are great words to put in a sentence together to get me to read a book. It follows a girl who must convince an old haunted house to release its hold on her and her family. Again, on September 5th, we have an adult horror book, and I'm really intrigued by this one. I love that it's called The September House, by Carissa Orlando, and it comes out in September. My birthday's in September. I love that month. I love the fall, and I feel like a horror book during that time is just like the perfect mix. And it says, a woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in this compulsively readable, twisty, and layered debut novel. Very excited for this one. When Margaret and her husband Hal bought the large Victorian house on Hawthorne Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price, they couldn't believe they finally had a home of their own. Then they discovered the hauntings. Every September, the walls drip blood. The ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified of something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. Margaret is staying. It's her house, but after 4 years, Hal can't take it anymore, and he leaves abruptly. Now he's not returning calls, and their daughter Catherine, who knows nothing about the hauntings, arrives, intent on looking for her missing father. To make things worse, September has just begun, and with every attempt Margaret and Catherine make at finding Hal, the hauntings grow more harrowing because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this one or not, but I feel like I can better handle it in like written format versus watching it. And I've also heard that this is kind of reminiscent of season 1 of American Horror Story, which I can't watch that. It terrifies me. But if you like that, that has been tagged. And then also it says it's a little bit Insidious, The Exorcist, and Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense. That is so hard to say. But there's like elements of each of those. So if you like horror, I feel like this one definitely needs to be on your radar. The last book that I have for September 5th is called What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. This is said to be good for fans of the Midnight Library, which I feel like there's been like 3 books already on this list that are for fans of the Midnight Library. But for that one and Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I do own that book. I haven't read it yet, but I feel like I'm going to love it. This is a Japanese novel that shows how the perfect book recommendation can change a reader's life. Next, on September 12th, we have Hemlock Island by Kelley Armstrong. The cover of this one is super spooky. It definitely drew me in. And this basically follows a vacation home rental that is haunted. That's all I know about it, all I want to know. I think that there's like people that stay there and they keep reporting it. So the people that own it go back and they're like finding blood and nail marks and all this different stuff. So no idea what's going on. Haunted situation. Again, I can read it better than I can watch it. So hopefully this will be a good one. I'm very intrigued by it. It is a little shorter. It's only 300 pages. So I'm really excited for this one. Okay, but let's be honest. I'm like really excited for all of these. But I mean, some of them I just can't help but say it. So then on, let's see, September 26th, we have Faking Christmas by Kerry Winfrey. Okay, I'm excited for this one. Surprise, surprise. But the reason that I'm excited is because Kerry Winfrey wrote. That is so hard. Winfrey wrote. Okay, there we go. She wrote one of my favorite romance novels, Just Another Love Song. So I'm really excited to read this one. It says, Laurel Grant is playing house for the holidays, complete with a fake husband and kids in this delightful, cozy rom-com. I don't want to read too much into this one, but I don't really know if I like fake dating yet. I haven't read a lot of it, but what I have read, I haven't liked. But I also know that I have loved fake dating in some like Hallmarky movies. There's an old ABC Family Christmas movie called Holiday in Handcuffs. It's got Mario Lopez and Melissa Joan Hart, and they fake date. And it is one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies. So this is giving me hope because I loved Kerry Winfrey's other book. And I loved that movie, even though this isn't really the same thing. Like, I'm just really hoping that I love this one. Moving into October, we have a young adult romance. It is called Maybe Once. Oh, actually, it's not young adult. I thought it was. It's new adult, I believe. But it is called Maybe Once, Maybe Twice by Alison Rose Greenberg. And essentially, what this is about is this woman who, she's now 35 years old. She made this deal with 2 different men. If we are still single when we're 35, we should get married. So guess what? Both of the men show back up when she's 35. They're all still single. And she's like, what am I supposed to do? She met them at 2 very different stages in her life. So like, which one's she gonna pick? I don't know, but I'm very excited to find out. Then on October 3rd, we have A Winter in New York by Josie Silver. I read One Day in December by this author a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but I haven't read anything by her since then, so it just feels fitting that I revisit her again with a Christmas romance. This seems to be a foodie romance. You have a young chef that stumbles on a secret family recipe that might lead her to the love and life she's been looking for, and that's all I really know about it. I don't really want to know much else. I like the cover, I like Josie Silver, I like Christmas romances, and I like food, so it sounds like a good time. Okay, really intrigued by this next one. I have not seen this one anywhere, and it just kind of came up out of nowhere. It is for fans of The Haunting of Bly Manor and Downton Abbey. So if you like both of those things, if you like paranormal, gothic, horror, historical fiction, and young adult, which may be in this for you, I don't know, but I like some young adult horror, this might be a good book for you. It is called The Voice Upstairs by Lora E. Weymouth. In 1920s England, a working-class girl who can see spirits works with a lord's son to solve mysterious deaths at the local manor home. Wilhelmina Price, that is hard for me to say, Wilhelmina Price has a dubious reputation in the village of Thrush's Green. Ever since her mother's untimely death, she's been able to see a person's spirit leaving their body days or hours before they die. Will has never been able to prevent these deaths, so her unusual skill has made her an outsider to most except for her lifelong friend, Edison, the youngest son of Lord Summerfield. But when a maid at the Summerfields estate dies in the same mysterious way as Will's own mother, Will takes on a housemaid's position to investigate whether these women might, in fact, have been murdered. There's nothing Ed Summerfield values more than his friendship with Will, which is why he's desperate to disguise how hopelessly in love with her he's become. So you're going to have a little bit of romance in this. And his belief that he may be haunted by the ghost of his older brother, Peter. Because if Will, with her supernatural powers, can't see the same evidence of hauntings that Ed does, he worries he may actually be losing his mind. Together, Will and Ed must dig deeper into the Summerfields' hoard of secrets, though the truth won't give itself up without a fight that could prove deadly to the both of them, as they face cunning adversaries among the living and the dead. Then we've got my girl Jennifer McMahon coming out with a new book. This is a horror, maybe psychological. Yes, it says it's a spine-tingling psychological thriller. That makes me happy. But also Jennifer McMahon is like the queen of horror, so just saying. But this is my darling girl. I'm a little hesitant about it, but I'm going to go in with an open mind because I've been very impressed with Jennifer McMahon's work. This is about a woman who, after taking in her dying alcoholic mother, begins to suspect demonic possession is haunting her family. I don't know if this is going to be actual possession or if it's going to be like, that's what you think it is and it be psychological. I don't know. But I know that this is going to involve a toxic and like really bad mother-daughter relationship. But I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this one, so I'm really hoping that I'm going to like it. It makes me a little nervous because of possession stuff and then like just this relationship thing. But I don't know. Like I said, I trust Jennifer McMahon, so we're just going to have to see. I think I've missed saying the date for the past 4 books, but ever since we've been in October, the past 4 books that I've talked about will be releasing on October 3rd. But now, moving on to October 10th, we have a young adult horror again, and I'm going to tell you just enough of what sold it for me, and hopefully that'll be enough to sell it for you too. So it's called Find Him Where You Left Him Dead by Kristen Simmons. This is a breakout horror novel that's Jumanji, but Japanese inspired. And it's about estranged friends playing a deadly game in a nightmarish folkloric underworld. So you've got these 5 kids who started a game 5 years ago or 4 years ago, but not all of them survived, and I don't think they ever finished. So now they have one night to complete 7 challenges, or they're all going to be stuck in this world forever. They meet this thing called Shinigami. I don't know. I think it has something to do with Japanese folklore, which I don't know a lot about. So it makes it even more interesting to me, and I love a good game element. Then we have another graphic novel. This one is a young adult graphic novel, and it is called Ghost Roast by Shawnelle Gibbs. This is perfect for fans of The OK Witch and Anya's Ghost, and it is a paranormal adventure that blends lost histories, first crushes, and the impossible task of fitting in with the cool kids when your dad is a ghost hunter. That one also comes out on the 10th. On October 17th, this is another one I'm super stoked for. So you guys may remember last year I read The Clackety by Lora Senf, which is a spooky middle grade novel, and I love it so much. Fun fact, it is actually book 1 in the Blight Harbor series. Book 2 comes out on October 17th. I'm so excited. I love the cover of this one. I love the spooky lighthouse and this creepy creature that is coming out from the side. This is perfect for fans of doll bones and small spaces, which apparently a lot of people are using because the people that wrote the Bellwoods game, like that was a tag also for their book. But I'm just telling you right now that as someone who reads a lot of spooky middle grade books, if you're looking for a good one, you need to check out this series. So we are going to follow Evie Von Rath again. In the first book, she dealt with some like conquering fears, which is a lot of the theme in spooky middle grade books. She had to overcome some anxieties. She had a lot of hope. She had to rescue her aunt from the Clackety, and in this book, it looks like she is going to, again, leave her world behind because you have a little bit of a portal fantasy element. And in this one, it looks like the ghosts have gone missing. And so she's having to team up with a 11-year-old or a 111, why can I not talk today? 111-year-old, but who's counting? A ghost named Lark, so apparently he's the only one left. And then her trusty bird, whom I love so much, and a plump ghost spider. That sounds like it's going to be a cute spider, though. I don't know. I'm excited, though. I really, really love Lora Senf's writing. Her first novel, like her debut, did not read like a debut. She read like a seasoned author. So, so good. So many great messages in her spooky middle grade stories, which I absolutely love. So definitely check out the first one if you haven't already. And if you have read The Clackety, just know The Nighthouse Keeper is coming soon. The last book I have for October comes out also on the 17th. And it is Unfamiliar Volume 2 by Haley Newsome. So Haley Newsome wrote, I think this was like a webcomic or something, and I was completely taken by surprise with this book. This is a whimsical story about this witch. She's a kitchen witch. Her name is Planchette, and she's just moved into this new home in this new magical town, but it turns out her house is haunted by all these ghosts. And instead of like getting them to leave, she ends up trying to help them with their problems. She meets some other friends in the town. There is a siren. There is a girl battling a curse. And there's just so many wonderful elements in the story. One thing that I love about Planchette is whenever she has different emotions or she's doing different things, her pupils and her eyes change. So they might be stars one time. If she's loving something, they might be hearts. If she is seeing ghosts, they'll be ghosts. Like, it's such an interesting, like, illustration style, and I love it so much. The story's great, and the illustration style is great. So definitely check out the first one if you haven't already, but I'm very excited that we're getting the second one so soon. I only have 4 more books left to talk about, and I have 3 for November. So on November 1st, I have The International House of Dereliction by Jacqueline Davies. This is a not-so-scary ghost story. So it looks like maybe it'll be heartwarming horror. I don't know. I don't want to say that before I know, but it says not so scary. And let's see. It looks like it's about this girl who begins to repair the dilapidated mansion next door, only to discover the old house is home to ghosts and they need mending too. Oh my gosh, I love that. This kind of reminds me of like Ghosts, like the TV. It's like a BBC series, but also on, what's it on? I don't remember, but it kind of reminds me of that. I'm so excited for this one. Okay, moving on. Also on November 1st, Courtney Walsh, my girl, my like queen of clean romance, is coming out with a sequel to the Cross Country Christmas. That was like, right now, that is my perfect romance. My favorite romance of all time. I read it last year. It is a road trip romance. It's a brother's best friend romance. I loved it so stinking much. So now we get to follow a different character in this one. So let's see. This is called A Cross Country Wedding. And it says, let's see, it's a friends to lovers, which is my fave. Forced proximity, opposites attract road trip romance that follows Maddie Rogers as she takes on the maid of honor duties for her best friend Lauren, who was in the first book. So I'm just so excited for this one, and the cover is so cute. Okay, the last one. Oh, wait, I forgot. There's another one I had to write in. So on November 21st, we have Ink Girls by Marieke Nijkamp. Sorry, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but this is a middle grade graphic novel. This is a late addition to the list. I just saw this one. The cover is absolutely gorgeous, and it says it's great for fans of Lightfall, Tide Song, and The Prince and the Dressmaker. So I don't know a whole lot about it. It has a really long synopsis, but if this piques your interest at all, it's linked down below, so just check it out. Then on November 24th, we have Just for December by Lauren Jane Williams. This is a Christmas romance. I love the cover of this one. It says, 1 month, 2 rivals, a fake dating pact that's just for December. It sounds so stinking cute, and it says it's great for fans of the holiday and the Christmas Prince. So I definitely want to see what this one's about. Evie Bird is a romance writer whose latest bestseller is being made into a Christmas movie. Duke Carlisle is a world-famous actor who has landed the role of leading man. When Evie and Duke meet on set, it's a frosty encounter, even icier than the cobbled Bavarian streets they're filming on. But after images of them arguing leak to the press and put the movie in jeopardy, they are left with no choice but to fake date until the cameras stop rolling. As the pair starts to put their differences aside, their feelings gradually begin to thaw. But can sparks ever really fly in a snowstorm? That sounds so good. Oh, I just love like these Christmas romances. So that one comes out on the 24th. And then the very last book that I have is on December 5th. This is another romance, and it is called Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. I'm excited for this one because I love the cover. It looks like so much fun. I have heard that this is a little cheesy, but your girl loves cheese, so bring it on. And it's like kind of Indiana Jones-esque. Obviously, it's called Raiders of the Lost Heart. So it says rival archaeologists must team up on a secret Aztec expedition, or it could leave their careers and hearts in ruins. So that is going to be the last book that I talk about today. And if you are interested in any of these, I have linked all of the books down below that you can pre-order if you'd like. So go ahead and check those out if you're interested in any of these, and let me know if I have piqued your interest in any of these books, like which ones you would be most excited about, or maybe there's a book that you're looking forward to that I didn't include on this list. I know there are some others, like I know Alice Feeney has a new book coming out, and there's some other ones, but I really just wanted to keep books on this list that I was like most looking forward to, and I feel like these are those, so these 39 books. But yeah, I'm so stinking excited about it. If you made it this far in the video and you're just as excited as I am about all of these releases, as well as any others that you may have on your list, go ahead and leave me a butterfly emoji down below. I'm so excited for all of these things. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to read my books on my shelves now because I'm just so excited for these new ones. But anyways, I love you all so much. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.